Welcome, brothers and sisters, family and friends. Stick around because this is going to be a good one. I want to talk about the Ga-Adangbe people of Ghana and that area. Um, I have more proof that the Ga-Adangbe people, or some people call them may say Ga-Adangbe, but they are the Israelites of the Bible. Not only is there historical proof written by historians, but there's also biblical proof. And their God, the God of the God people, uh, is none other than Yahweh. Now, I want to correct something because in the first video that I did about the God Dangme people, I called, I thought that the pronunciation of their God is Yanmo, but no, the God of the God Dangme people, his name is properly said Yamo, Yamo, and it's very similar to the Ashanti name of God Yame. But Yamo and Yame, Yamo is the same God as Yahweh of the Bible of the Old Testament. The reason why they call God Yahweh in their language is because they are the Israelites. They are the true Jews of the Bible. Let's get into this. So, one historian, one very well known black Jew, his name was Eldad the Danite. And let's look at what he recorded about the Israelites. Okay, now this book is from Babylon to Timbuktu. It's written by Black African American author Dr. Rudolph R. Windsor, and he's an expert in Hebrew and Aramaic, and he's an expert in Judaism and the history of the Israelites, and particularly the Black Israelites. Now, it says on page 92, the first paragraph, Eldad the Danite. Now here's the similarity. Now the Ga people are also called the Ga-Adangbe, Dan, or Ga-Adangbe, Dangme, Dan. Now you hear the part Dan. Eldad is a Danite, which means he's from the Dan tribe of Israel, because there are 12 tribes of Israel in the Bible, in the Old Testament, and Dan is one of them. So he's from the tribe of Dan. And it has been, let me read and then I'll get back to that. Okay. In the ninth century, a black African Hebrew arrived in the city of Kairouan, excuse me if I'm saying it wrong, in Algeria. In this city was one of the famous Talmudic schools. The name of this Hebrew was Eldad the Danite. He told a credible story of a Hebrew empire south of the Sahara in the Western Sudan. Now listen, before, it's not talking about the Sudan as we know it, the one country today. Before Sudan was stretched across the whole Sahara, Sub-Saharan Africa, that whole area was known as Sudan, from the east to the west coast of Africa. Now, also important is that he's speaking of a Hebrew empire south of the Sahara, which would be West Africa, and where Ghana and the other Israelites, like say in Nigeria and Ghana and the Burkina Faso and Ivory Coast, that's the area where he said the Israelites would be. Now, uh, according to Eldad the Danite, the Hebrews in the interior of Africa spoke a Phoenician Hebraic language mixed with the Arabic. They had a religion which had come down from Moses and a Hebrew emperor. It was believed that this emperor was named Lutan or Bulletin. Eldad said that the people of this tribe had fled from the kingdom of Israel after Sennacherib, the Assyrian, had subdued it. That's in the Bible, that's historical. And that the other Israelite tribes, such as Naphtali, Gad, and Asher, were in the land from which he came. Now there it goes, Gad. Do you hear that? Gad. I have been told or heard from sources that Gad is where the Ga people get their name. In English, it would be Gad, but I don't know. In Hebrew, it might be more like God. Um, but from what I was told, the Ga people may be saying that they descend from Gad. So they say it as Ga. In the Dangme part, they descend from the tribe of Dan, of the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, now, he told of the laws of Moses which they followed, the complete series of the scriptures except Esther and Lamentations. He did not speak of the legal works that were produced in Babylon and Palestine after destruction of the first temple, of which the Algerian Jews had a knowledge. These extraordinary works were the Mishnah and the Talmud. Eldad, but see, that's not original scripture. The Hebrew scriptures are authoritative and they are ours. Keep this in mind that the people who wrote the Bible were black people. The Israelites were black people. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Moses, who brought the Egyptians out of Egypt, was black. Okay, so Eldad displayed as evidence some ceremony pertaining to the slaughtering of animals for food. It is written in Hebrew with an Arabic tinge, but Eldad claimed that he knew no other language than Hebrew. In regard to Eldad's story, the Gaon, head of the Jews, assured the people that the story was credible. So, right there, he's saying if his story is said to be credible. This man, the black Jew, Hebrew, Eldad, the Danite, and he's in all the books that I read about the black Jews in Africa. Eldad the Danite is mentioned, and he's mentioned as credible. So he said then that there's Jews in Sub-Saharan Africa, which validates the people who say that the Ga-Adangbe are Jews. And I've heard Ga-Adangbe people themselves profess that they are Jews with much proof. Now, let's get into this part. I want to show you something. Okay, now, this book is called Black Jews in Africa and the Americas, and it's written by Professor Tudor Parfit. And he's a European. Now, in this book on page 117, and let's go to the bottom of the second paragraph. It says, similarly, the important uh, statesman and historian Joseph Kwame, who is credited with giving the modern state of Ghana its name, wrote a 3-volume work of which only the final volume survived the calamitous fire. His Akon Concept of God, written in 1944, endeavored to demonstrate that Akon had come to knowledge of the God of the Bible quite independently of Western colonial influence, and that there, Yankopan, Kwame, the greater God of Saturday, was none other than the biblical Yahweh. So right there, he's saying that the the Ghanaian people, the Akon people, had, and this would also include the Ga-Adangbe people, had already had a knowledge of Yahweh of the Bible, the God of the Sabbath. They already knew before the Western colonial people came into Africa. They were no stranger to who the supreme being was or is. So their God Yamo is their God, their version of the name of Yahweh. Now, a number of books have similarly endeavored to show that other Ghanaian groups are descended from ancient Israel, notably the Ga-Adangbe, who it is claimed descend from the lost tribe of Gad. See, a Ga-Adangbe website drawn from these books notes throughout the culture and history of the Ga-Adangbes of Ghana is a very strong conclusive evidence that they are direct descendants of the Hebrew Israelites that migrated to West Africa by way of Egypt, Ethiopia, Sudan, Lake Chad. I'm sorry if I'm saying this wrong. Ile-Ife, Dahomey, Togo, and to the Gold Coast, modern Ghana. Their cultural practices, laws, and customs, and even some of their names are so identical to those described in the Holy Bible. Thus, the only logical conclusion to make is that they are, as they claim, descendants of the biblical Hebrew Israelites. So it is proven. People have known this. They are the descendants. So recognize here, many people of Israelites, even the Zulu and Xhosa, or of South Africa, they have history that they came from Egypt or they were in Egypt. And it's true the Hebrews were in Egypt as they were in Ethiopia and Sudan. And as they crossed into Africa in the Bantu expansion, some went west, some went east, some went south, some stayed, but every place they went, some some of the black Israelites settled in those places and the others kept going, okay? Now, so before I go on, there's something I want to say very quickly. This is not a joke. This is for real. And those of us who are showing this to people who have learned ourselves, who God has blessed to learn, we know that this is very serious because the Ga-Adangbe and all the other tribes, related peoples in Sub-Saharan Africa are the Israelites. Understand how huge this is. That they are the children of God Himself, the Yahweh of the Bible, and that it was to His children, them and us, the descendants who were sent into slavery. We are the children of Israel, and the promise to the promised land is to us. Understand how serious this is. Genesis chapter 49, chapter 16 through 19. This is the World English Bible. It says, now this is the table where um, Jacob, whose name later changed to Israel, he blessed his sons before he passed away, and he divided between his sons the land of Israel and gave them their blessings. So, to save time, I will go to chapter, verse 16 through 19, okay? Verses 16 through 19. Genesis 49. Dan, now that stop right there. The Ga-Adangbe people, the Dan part, so it's said that the Dan part comes from this tribe of Israel. So now I'll keep reading. Dan will judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan will be a serpent on the trail, an adder in the path that bites the horse's heels so that the rider falls backward. I have waited for your salvation, Yahweh. Now listen about Gad. Verse 19, a troop will press on Gad, but he will press on their heel. Now it has been said that not only are the Ga-Adangbe, this is if this is accurate, this is you. This is not talking about somebody else. Right here in is the Ga-Adangbe people in the Bible, tribe of Gad and Dan together. Isn't that a coincidence? You are the Ga-Adangbe people. But realize this, that there's also other people, the tribe of that the Igbo people come from the tribe of Gad through their descendant Eri, and that the Zulu tribe is said to be from Gad. That there's other people who descend from Gad and Dan throughout sub-Saharan Africa. So once you know, once again, who the Ga-Adangbe people are, and the Igbo and Ashanti and everyone else, you know who everybody is. You're the Israelite children of God. Peace and blessings to you.